So we're finally here, performing for you. You know, sketch, watch, play, you can join in too. Here's where it gets funky as Rare departs and the series recovers after falling apart. Sketch, watch. Sketch, watch, play has 3 words, so that part doesn't work. We are Sketch, Watch, Play, a pop culture podcast every 4 weeks, talking movies, TV, cartoons, video games, and everything that comes with those. With the exception of 2-parters like this episode should go up a week after the first part. You can find us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and most third-party podcast apps and directories. If you want to send us feedback or topic suggestions, you can email us at sketchwatchplay@gmail.com. And if you enjoy what you hear, you can support the show both by leaving positive reviews on iTunes or supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/behon. That's BEHON. Pledges of $3 and up will get early access to future episodes. I am John Fleury, and I am joined today once again by guest host and brother from the same mother, Patrick Fleury. Patrick, how are you?
Well, I was doing fine, and then I heard the Sketch Watch Play version of the DK rap, so now I'm doing
the SWP rap, I'm going to call it.
Yeah, so now I'm kind of having a hard time.
I wish I could have found a way to screen cap your face while doing that, but
I don't think the world needs to see my horror.
Well, no, I'm not going to do any more raps. I was going to say I had opportunity, but I won't do that to you. But that was a fun first part we had.
Yeah. I think it was so fun that it got away from us and we realized we had a lot more we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm glad we do because I feel like this whole section part is going to be a lot more peaks and valleys if we're looking at the DK franchise.
I think a lot more valleys than peaks, if I'm being honest.
Oh, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to talk. But looking back, worst we had was DK3, which wasn't even
I love.
No. Donkey Kong 3, not Country. Stanley the Bug Man.
No, that's true. Sorry.
You do not love that, I remember.
No, I don't really.
So, real quick, we did want to... I think originally I was planning to either not have an intro segment or to maybe talk Final Fantasy VII, but I need more time with that remake. And I'm sorry, I'm going to make another bad joke. Something came in the way. Ooh. Mournful, moody Nirvana cover. DC Fandome happened.
Episode's gonna be? Is this episode gonna be these kind of bits?
I think I'll stop now. But
God.
I'm so happy that you're reacting that way, though. DC Fandome happened, and there was one clear MVP for me, but there were a lot more announcements than I was expecting. This had a lot more substance than I expected. What were your takeaways on it?
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
So I think the biggest thing for most people was the new Batman trailer, but I think the thing that I saw that made me most excited was probably the new Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League trailer.
When it got to the end of that trailer and you realized why you're going to kill the Justice League, that changes things a bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I still don't have a very clear idea of what brought the Justice League to this point, but I just think there's something particularly delightful about the look on King Shark's face, like when like Superman's like eyes start lighting up again, that I'm just like, I am excited to play this game.
Yeah, well, there were there were more than one game announcement. Did you hear about Gotham Knights?
Yeah, I'm psyched about Gotham Knights. I guess I haven't done as much reading about it as I kind of have about the other stuff, so I don't know if it's set in the same like Arkham universe or...
It is not.
Okay.
They were confusing about that, especially considering how similar it looks. I think, actually, Suicide Squad is the Arkham universe.
Okay, interesting.
I think they kind of want Rocksteady to have it still hands... I guess not... Well, they didn't always feel that way because the company developing Gotham Knights did Arkham Origins, which I think one of the reasons that game was made was because Arkham Knight took a long time.
Yeah, I'm just excited about, I think, kind of what I think of as like the Avengers effect, which is just that like the more like lesser known superheroes that get added kind of along the way. Yeah. The more we're going to get these like more games that are not like, I feel like, from the 80s to early thousands, we had like the same 4 superheroes were allowed to have games about them. And that was about it. And I'm really enjoying kind of seeing these. I never thought we'd get a Gotham Knights kind of game where we don't have any of what we call, the usual like A-listers in there, except for maybe
Robin's
Nightwing, depending on who you are. But I'm super excited about it. I think it looks very cool, and I like the character designs, and I thought the character reveal trailer was very cool.
Yeah, and what else was I going to say? So they have revealed some details. And there is a gameplay video of Gotham Knights. I haven't watched all of it. The one thing they're going to have in common is that there is going to be online co-op, but it's going to be optional. So the way it's going to work is in both of them, you'll pick one of these 4 characters. I think Gotham Knights, you will maybe have one person possibly join in, or you can do it solo. And that can be either AI or online co-op. Suicide Squad sounds cool. So you'll pick one of those 4. So it's confirmed. It's Harley, Killer Croc, Captain Boomerang, and was that Deadshot?
I think you mean King Shark, and yes.
King Croc. I'm mixing up my, there is no King Croc. He's Killer Croc. What am I saying? King Croc is probably what some ignorant adults call King K. Rool. That's
exactly right. Like. So it all ties in.
It all connects. Shared universe.
And that was the plan the whole time.
So Conqueror's in the same universe as Suicide Squad. Makes sense.
Which I've always said, actually.
Makes perfect sense. But so the way that will work is you'll pick one of them, and all 4 of them will go into these missions. Maybe it'll be open world. I don't know if they've said that yet. They're not showing gameplay, and it's 2 years away. It'll do the same thing with the online, but except, unlike Gotham Knights, all 4 will be in the game at the same time, and you'll be able to switch between them at will. Mm-hmm. Which is what the FF7 remake did, where you use the D-pad and switch between... the others will be kind of controlled, and you can just pick your guy of choice, which is a nice compromise, I think. Since the big problem we have when you have AI partners is, man, this AI partner is being so dumb, I wish I could just do it for them. So now, because there will be scenarios where it's like, okay, King Shark is best for this, Boomerang's best for this, so I'll just switch them and do it myself.
Yeah.
And it's confirmed for the next generation too, both of them are, so it's going to be neat to see how, because Arkham Knight looked gorgeous. And
yeah, I think it looked beautiful. I think, we didn't really see any gameplay stuff from the Suicide Squad game, but the tone it set was very cool, and I got excited about that.
And Rocksteady has a very good track record, so forgive me for not being particularly worried. It's been a long time since Arkham Knight 2, so they've been working on this game for a while. So I'm hopeful. And you were saying you don't know what's going on with Justice League, but did you see the big octopus at the beginning?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it's Brainiac.
Oh.
There's a big mech thing, and I think it has the dots on its forehead. And I think Superman's eyes were glowing the same color as it. So maybe the idea is that Brainiac.
Oh, I missed that. I only did a quick watch of the trailer, but I think that would make sense.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm guessing he'll be the big bad, but I'm curious to see how if they'll handle him a different way than Injustice 2 did, which was a good story and a good Brainiac.
Yeah.
Now there is one particular movie, but did you want to talk about any of the other non-Bat movie trailers or clips? Because I only watched Suicide Squad's cast roll. Which is very impressive.
I watched the Suicide Squad cast roll, which I think is so funny because I think they made it kind of clear. I think so many of those people are not big parts of the movie. I think this cast is truly going to have like a true Suicide Squad. I think we're going to lose half those people over the course of this movie. Polka Dot Man is not long
for this world.
Yeah.
I do find it hilarious that. Do you recognize some of the characters from the comics? Because you're a resident. You read more comics than me and most of us.
I've read more of the comics here, but a lot of them are kind of off to the side characters. Yeah. Like I know Nathan Fillion's playing somebody who I've read something of before, and I can't even remember his name. It's like Arm Fall Off Boy or something. And his
Turn Your Eyelids Inside Out Boy.
Yeah, his character ability is like truly like he can rip off his limbs and like attack people with them, and that's like his ability.
That's great.
And then like Polka Dot Man. I don't know outside of like when he was like first created, who was like, polka dots had different abilities. Some of them were like flying saucerish. Some of them were like spinning saw blades. Some of them were. I only know about him because he's part of that joke in Lego Batman where Joker name drops like everyone. Crazy Quilt, Eraser, Orca.
Crazy Quilt, Eraser, Polka Dot Man, Mime, Tarantula, King Tut, Orca, Killer Moth, Orange Harriet, Zodiac Master, Gentleman Ghost, Clock King, Calendar Man, Kite Man, Cat Man, Zebra Man, and the Condiment King.
Okay, are you making some of those up?
Nope, they're all real.
Well, it feels like they're doing. I mean, it's kind of been fun lately with a lot of the DC, some of the better DC titles coming out now. How they're embracing kind of the weird older characters.
Yeah.
Like the Harley Quinn animated show does an unbelievable job of bringing in a bunch of random characters. They do. They've made Kite Man a main character on the show, and he is just unbelievably funny and well utilized.
And we both enjoyed Birds of Prey. I feel like to moviegoers, Black Canary and Huntress are pretty deep cuts.
Yeah, I think the only for like the non-comic fan out there, like the only times they would have been acquainted with those is I know the Arrowverse, like that, has versions of both of those characters that have appeared.
Black Canary was also in Injustice and the Justice League cartoon, which is how I know her, and how I know she's married with kids to Green Arrow. They mentioned getting a babysitter when they head out to fight Gorilla Grodd.
I believe that the character was killed off pretty early in the Arrowverse, but I don't really remember. I kind of fell off that.
Yeah, but yeah, movie trailers. I still haven't watched. I'm not that interested in Black Adam for whatever reason. Even though I like Shazam, it just feels a little redundant. Wonder Woman, I'm excited for. I just at this point, it's just like, are they ever going to release this damn thing?
Yeah, they seem to just be waiting for theaters to come back. Unfortunately, the one thing that I was like, gosh, I hope this isn't what happens, because I don't like this like trope in superhero movies or like whatever, where like there's like a cool, interesting villain set up like Kristen Wiig, and she's like getting these powers, and it's like, oh great, she's like getting these powers, but like by the end of the movie, she's like not even herself anymore.
Oh,
she's
she
like
goes
some
crazy.
kind of like, she's like a full beast. Like we saw her at the end of the movie, and she's like
I saw the gif of her.
lady.
Yeah,
I was
looking
like
Cheetah.
Yeah, it looks dumb.
It looks silly. I wasn't thinking they were literally going to do that.
Yeah, and they really did, and it seems to look stupid.
Yeah, well, we will see. But no, look, I told you, like, you texted me. I didn't watch I didn't watch it live. I was just watching clips as they came out, and I went to bed pretty early that night and woke up to a text from me talking about. So yeah, it looks like Riddler will be the main villain going by the Batman trailer, and I was like, the what trailer? Like, the Batman wasn't out of my mind at all. Not that I wasn't interested in it, but I was like, it's so early along. They postponed filming until fall because of COVID. They're not going to have anything. No, the first trailer is here, and I got up, and this is the first time I've been on a high from a trailer in some time. This movie looks incredible.
Yeah, I think it looks very, very interesting. I think it's kind of cool tone to set. I am always thrilled when I see a trailer set to a Nirvana song.
Yeah, you were saying that. I love.
But then I also think that it was just like the kind of the slow build to the trailer, like made it very, very cool, and something about like the Riddler's like childlike scrawl on that piece of
it's creepy
paper is super creepy.
I've heard people comparing it to like it's like a David Fincher movie, like Seven. Like, and have you heard about the genre that they're approaching it as?
It's kind of a neo-noir, right?
It is. I love this. Matt Reeves, and I like this director. He did some of the Planet of the Apes movies, which I know you're mixed on, but I think are really good. He also did the original Cloverfield.
I like them on the whole. I thought they just...
but they think they were great.
I didn't think they were great.
Yeah, that's fine. But he also did the original Cloverfield, which I thought had a simple story, but was really well directed.
I liked the original one, yeah.
Yeah, the original. And I haven't seen it, but he did Let Me In, which was the remake of The White Run-In that I heard was actually very good.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. But he's a capable director, and they've got a capable cast. And if they have a capable script, then I think we're in for something... Like, this looks like the movie I've been hoping for since Nolan left. If anything, what are some takeaways you have in terms of the looks or what the teasers we're getting? Because I love the fact that this looks to have a very similar tones to Nolan stuff, but visually it is more heightened. It is more stylized. Every shot looks beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's instead of like the early Burton ones where they did like the over-the-top Gothic architecture everywhere,
very unreal.
They're doing like an over-the-top contrast and like lighting in this show to like this movie to make it like very dark and light. Things that we're seeing in the trailer I thought looked very, very cool. But I love the little details that we see that kind of make Batman kind of like more of a human being in it. Like even the small things, like when we see him kind of crouched down in like the rain, we see like the smeared eye makeup around his eyes that we know he has to wear.
He has to wear that, and the movies have never addressed that till now.
Yeah, and it's just like it's little details like that are like we're like addressing like the actual mechanics that are going into this. Mm-hmm. And you know, I've said from the beginning I'm pretty psyched on Robert Pattinson for the role. I think he's going to be a cool choice. I'm psyched to see him in Tenet. I haven't seen it yet, but
it'll be out soon.
Yeah, it'll be out soon. I think overall they've kind of snared me with this casting though. In general, they've set themselves on a real good foot. I mean, Paul Dano.
He's a creepy guy in general. He's like a mix of. He's kind of like Cillian Murphy. He's a good mix of handsome and creepy.
Yeah, I think I think it's going to really, really work well. And I don't know if the character we saw in the trailer with like the tape and the goggles is our Riddler, then I think we're in for something pretty cool.
I mean, I'm just thinking it's going to be neat to see a more serious take on Riddler, because I know the Jim Carrey Forever version has its fans, but it's a very different take.
I mean, I'm a fan of Jim Carrey and Batman Forever in the sense that it's like it's great classic Jim Carrey. Is it really the Riddler that
that's
want.
what I mean.
Not
That's what
really.
Yeah, we never
but
got
it's-
that. We
it's like-
eventually we got because that had a bad Two-Face, but we got a great Two-Face in Dark Knight. So now let's get a good traditional Riddler. And I saw some people pointing out. Did you notice the owl insignia on the letter?
I did see that, so I'm wondering. I mean, I don't know if you read any of the.
I have heard about the Court of Owls. I know they're kind of like an Illuminati kind of thing.
The New 52, when it started, which was like for anybody listening who doesn't know, the New 52 was like a big
Reboot.
republication reboot of every single comic series that DC owned, that I think happened 7 or 8 years ago now. But the first big Batman story for, I think, the Detective Comics Batman series, and that was like the Court of Owls series. And it is, I will say, it is super good, and if you've got the time, go back and read it. It is awesome.
So a couple things I'm hearing, they kind of give me the same vibe. I know they're not one-to-one.
Wait, that was for Gotham Knights, right? Or was that
they are confirmed to be part of Gotham Knights.
I see they're in the trailer pretty heavily.
Yeah, they're going to be the big. I think they said they're not going to be the only villains, but they may be the main ones.
Okay.
Right now, nothing's confirmed for the Batman, but they did point out they want to make it a trilogy if it's received well enough. So it's very possible they may just tease them like they did Joker and Batman Begins. Say that Riddler was part of them or something, or was drawing.
I think that would make sense. I think that would also be a pretty easy build. To pull off.
I do hope they try not to save too much for a sequel in case this thing doesn't take off, but it'll have its fans.
I'd be shocked if it doesn't, but we'll see.
I just want it to be, if it's good enough, then also I wasn't familiar with Zoe Kravitz other than her name, but I looked her up after this trailer and the casting, and she's got a naturally sly expression. You ever notice that?
You didn't watch Big Little Lies?
No,
dude.
I don't watch much,
Big Little Lies.
But
what do you mean you don't watch much? The show is called Sketch Watch Play.
Well,
you watch a lot of stuff.
I watch selectively, Patrick. Selectively.
That is nonsense. You've seen all of Bobobo 40 times.
Yes, but Bobobo is a masterpiece.
I won't watch Big Little Lies.
Yes, but Bobo is a masterpiece. Not many shows can be, That's going to be an episode someday. I just have to figure out who's going to be willing to do it. But
it's not going to be me.
No, don't worry, it won't. But long story short, the Batman looks very solid. The games look very solid. Cheetah, not so much, but we'll see how the movie turns out. And I'm excited for the Suicide Squad too. And real quick, Weasel, is that a character you're familiar with?
I'm not, but I'm excited to see Sean Gunn making his way back in.
It just cracks me up. Is every movie that James Gunn makes, he's going to be all right, you're going to be in the movie, Sean, mocapping this rodent. And I know he
actually gets to be the voice this time.
That'd be nice, especially if they kill him early on. Then maybe it'll be easier for him to go don't get a celebrity or something. Let Sean do this, because Sean Gunn is a talented actor. He's the guy who made me cry at the end of Guardians 2 with his on-screen character.
I mean, he does a pretty unbelievable job in the Guardians movies. I think just with the mocap. If you watch any of the behind-the-scenes featurettes, it's particularly cool.
He deserves more credit.
Agreed.
But real quick, I'm going to open up. We did the Watch Together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to copy paste one for you again.
Sounds good.
So tell me when it's ready. You'll get a side view of Cartoon DK when it's fully loaded.
Ugh, God.
Putting your opinions right on the table.
I'm not hiding any of my opinions on this.
All right, but first, so we talked a lot of amazing stuff with Donkey Kong the last time, the impact the original arcade games had, how the original arcade game and Game Boy game hold up, and then all of it, fawning over the Country trilogy, because we do think those are some really quality platforming, amazing atmosphere and technology behind it, great level design. I've said put on record now, Donkey Kong Country 2 is my favorite game ever.
You're saying all this nice stuff, and I'm staring at this screen grab, and I'm just so pissed off.
Yeah, well, hashtag not my Donkey Kong if you're talking this.
Whoa.
Now, when I was a kid, because like I said, my imagination was running wild and I was already into cartoons and stuff, I imagined a movie or show, some sort of cartoon about Donkey Kong being made for years. I'm it was a perfect fit. The Kongs could go on adventures. The Kremlings and Animal Blades could act crazy. And, what's going to happen? What do they run into? All these fun character interactions. And I read about this show, which, just to show you how weird this all gets. So, Donkey Kong, originally made in Japan. Donkey Kong Country, made in the UK. Donkey Kong Country the cartoon, filmed in French and dubbed in Canadian English. Lost in translation. I read about this a good year before it hit the States due to those Canadian origins, and it aired over there for 2-3 I guess 2 years before it aired here. And it aired on Fox Family, which is, I think is now, went to ABC Family and is now Freeform, whatever the hell that is.
Yep.
And we got, then we...
So they didn't have to only do family programming anymore.
Yeah, serendipitously, I lined up with when we first got cable around that time. I remember because that's when shows I loved, like, I think, it was 1998, like, Cartoon Network was taking off, so, like, Ed, Edd n Eddy and Powerpuff Girls and a lot of classic stuff.
We gotta do a Toonami episode.
I'd love to. Yeah, I didn't know you were interested in that. Yes, I would love to. But anyway,
to recap some Toonami stuff. But besides that, yeah.
But we're not talking Toonami quality here.
Right.
But so we finally got this, and I liked it at first, but it wore me over time because I was like, this is nothing like the game. These voices do not fit how I imagined. The designs are way off, and why is everyone singing?
It was one of those things that you just like so desperately wanted to like. I remember when I was in high school, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie came
that
out,
was disappointing.
and I was so desperate to like it that I told everyone it was like the greatest movie because I loved the book so much. I convinced people to see it, and I was talking it up, and everybody who did was like, dude, this is not very good.
I think it's an okay movie. It's a bad adaptation.
It took me years to see it as not a good movie, and this is I think us as kids, this was a shining example of that. Like, we watched it all.
Yeah, no, it's Donkey Kong. Look,
even while I was watching it as a kid, I was like, does this maybe suck? This feels like it sucks, but it can't. It's Donkey Kong.
Look, they're calling him Donkey Kong. He's talking about bananas. He's got a tie.
All my friends are here. It can't possibly suck.
First off, the CGI is very dated and often ugly.
And weird, very smushed a lot of the time. And the Kong's facial expressions are very
the Kongs
bizarre.
look creepy.
It looks so creepy.
Not just the designs are way off. Like the proportions, the facial structure and stuff like that. So here's the thing. Because I highly recommend. We've had Generation Animation on here a couple times, and one of my favorite episodes of theirs ever. It's back in 2014. They reviewed this show and they were in pain. Our past guest Tyler Monterno, he went off when they got to BlusterCon. Something in him snapped and he started ranting for a minute about everything.
His name was Bluster. His name was fucking Bluster. Fuck everything about Bluster Kong. Fuck his name. Fuck his character. Fuck his mustache, fuck his face, fuck his design. The stupidest thing I have ever seen. I could not watch scenes with that character on the screen because he disturbed me to no end. He looked really scary, like a nightmare creature. There was something up with his face, there was pieces missing of his face. That stupid mustache, and then whenever he was on screen, his dead eyes, he would often be there just standing there not talking, and his dead eyes just staring out.
Boring into my soul.
And I love, they summed it up two great things. Tyler summed it up this is a show where the animation is so bad it's jarring. And
yes.
And Felipe summed up the animation. The characters, I don't think they can sit still.
So there's a weird thing where look at all the joints of the characters and the way their arms move. They look so creepy and
they clip and jitter like a PS2 game.
Yeah, it was in a world where we had what year was this? We'd seen Toy Story already.
It was a year after Toy Story, and I know it was a TV budget, but I want to tell you one thing that explains this not sitting still and maybe some of the jittering movement. This was one of the first uses of mocap, especially in TV. So it was.
Excuse me?
The show was mocapped. At least the first season was. That's why everybody's moving so much. I'm not joking.
That sucks.
It was
freaking sucks.
That was very elaborate and cutting edge for the time. The problem is we got Gollum 5 years later and never looked back.
Oh my god, that's awful, man.
And even as a kid, I could tell their technical limits because you only had a finite amount of environments, which bummed me out. Okay, so you get the jungle and you get the snow and you get a pirate ship, but the temple? There was a temple. It looked like shit. So But even beyond that, do you remember? Did you ever notice how they would recycle the character models for like a side or one-off characters? Like, oh, it's Eddie the Yeti. No, it's not. It's Donkey Kong.
No, it's just Donkey Kong, but he's white this time.
Oh, it's Kung Fu. No, it's not. It's Bluster. But you put an Asian headband on him, and why was Bluster there? Why did they create this really douchey, hideous-looking, obnoxious? Like, he doesn't fit. He breaks the rule that you gotta have a 2-syllable that ends in E. He's not Blusty Kong.
That's true.
And he's a creep to Candy. Like, there's some stuff in this that doesn't hold up. Like, in the first episode, he had to give her, like, a cake, and she's like, rejected, I'm watching my figure. And he goes, don't bother, I'm watching it for you.
Ugh.
But I can't give Candy slack. Candy is a bitch in this show. I don't know. I think they were going for a strong, independent thing, but she gets mad at DK over the, like, the smallest things. Like, the episode where, oh my god, the episode, so there is a DK reanimate going on, that I contributed to. Will hopefully come out someday. And it's an episode where K. Rool decides to frame DK for a bunch of things so the friends hate him, which the natural next step is Cranky going, I'm banishing you to the mountains, go live in the snow forever, which a bit extreme. But
so something that just bummed me out a lot, I need you to know, is that I assumed that besides the couple of clips I watched in preparation for this show, I had forgotten everything from this.
But you hadn't.
And the moment you said K. Rool framed Donkey Kong, I was like, oh yeah, and he gets banished to the mountain. And I was like, oh god, I hate that that's still taking up some space in the library of my brain.
You could remember math or like important, numbers.
Oh my god, but I would give to know algebra still. But no, this is the crap that's still in there.
But one, his plots for Candy is that he throws a banana peel on the ground, she slips on it, she assumes DK did it and breaks up with him. That's the show's logic.
No one. It's just like no one. It doesn't. And that's really what the entire show feels like. The entire show feels like nobody in the room tried at all.
It is like the worst
first idea, best idea, get it out the door.
I've ever seen a show. And do you remember? Okay, now here's the thing that I didn't realize as a kid, but as an adult, I'm like, oh my god, how did this happen? Do you remember what they did to get Dixie mad at him?
I bet you I'm going to remember in a second.
Crusher turned out to be a great imitator. So they're sitting on a log after Candy
oh my
broke
god,
up.
I hated this too.
And Crusher starts hitting on Dixie in DK's voice, going, lay a lip lock on me, Dixie Doodle. And meanwhile, we got a close-up of Dixie. Dixie got shafted hard. Her face is hideous. And it's just her going might as well. But it's meant to be that she's horrified. And everything about it is so uncomfortable because I'm like, do you not know that pedophilia is a thing, writers? What is this? Do you remember, did your kid like ever be like, man, I wonder what they would sound like if they talked? Oh, DK would be all like tough but kind of dopey, and Diddy would be like a kid or something. No, DK is going to sound like, I heard people compare it to Chris Rock, but then I heard a more apt comparison. He sounds like Kel Mitchell. He sounds a lot like Kel, and I
guess, but he sounds like a doofier Kel.
But either way, it's too high pitched. It's too young sounding. It doesn't. Yeah. They certainly keep that he's strong and a dumbass, but it's just it doesn't fit. It like that. You know what? I could hear that voice coming out of Funky.
Yeah.
Like, because I've come to call nickname Funky 90s Kong. Like, he's when you play the country games, you look at him and go, oh, I know when this was made. He's a surfer dude.
That's exactly right.
And so it's like in this, we'll make him Jamaican. Though I guess other than that and him being yellow, he's pretty accurate, but whatever. And so we'll give DK a bizarre voice, and we'll give Diddy one of the most annoying voices you've ever heard. We'll get a middle-aged guy to come in and go, hey, big buddy.
Oh, I hated that you just did. Although very accurate, actually. Good job.
Thank you. Though if we're talking
Are we going to watch this piece of crap?
Yes. So here is a duet between DK and Diddy. And I want to also highlight, they got a different actor for DK's singing voice, which I noticed as a kid because it's way deeper. But I think it just highlights how awful Diddy's voice is and what a legit talent Donkey's singing voice is. You ready?
Oh, God.
All right. The setup is that Diddy's invisible and singing about how much fun he's going to have.
When Cranky learns you're messing with the coconut this way, I'll be sneaking into another movie matinee.
Oh my god, he doesn't even sing, Diddy. He like speaks terribly.
Hey. Here we go.
You can't get away with this monkey business.
The camera is this entire song.
It's having a stroke.
DK it's either from the side where it's shooting an invisible Diddy, which means you're seeing nothing and the camera is just shaking back and forth at a tire swing, or it's Donkey Kong doing the same weird arm movements, and just the camera is shaking left and right. And that is how lazy this is. Nothing else happens.
And I really do want to touch on, I think this was the killing blow for me. Like, it's a musical, and some songs are genuinely catchy. I do have an ironic collection of MP3s of the show. I'm going to delete that. No, I'm not. But many of them are pure cringe, and almost all of them come out of nowhere. Like, somebody will just say something, and all of a sudden the music goes, da-da-da-da-da, and it all start. It's like almost comedic.
You know what? It almost makes me think of the time that I did music, and it went something like this.
I can be a ghost who haunts the barrel factory.
Oh my god, Diddy's voice is stressful.
It's going to give you anxiety.
Oh my god, he just said he wants to pretend to be a ghost and like harass Candy while he's like invisible.
Oh, Diddy is a dick in the show. That's the other thing. It wasn't King K. Rool. It was King K. Rool. Why?
So I actually have a theory about this. I think the people making this show were like, you know who's stupid? Kids. They will not get that K. Rool's name is like cruel. So we'll just say cruel slowly.
But you're not even saying it right. Then it would be cruel. Oh, this show is somewhat of a guilty pleasure for me, I'm going to admit, both because just how bizarre the stuff we're talking about is. And sometimes when it's just characters clipping to each other, there's some good stuff. But the stories are bad. The animation is bad. The voices don't fit. The songs are bad. It's bad.
You know, I got to tell you, I don't feel similarly. I thought that I was going to go into this being like, you know, a guilty pleasure. This show's actually got some fun stuff to it. I went back and I watched some clips, and I just watched this fucking terrible song you just made me watch. And I am only angry.
This is Next Mutation all over again.
Yeah, it just makes me so sad.
So, but let's try something to make it a little less sad, but I'm not even talking about the games. First off, so I'm actually been thinking, because we know Nintendo is getting back into the spin-off media, because this wasn't the only show they did it with. Pokemon was good, you know, Kirby was pretty good. The Mario cartoons are really bad too, I gotta say. Don't rewatch those if you haven't already.
I didn't really have an attachment to those, because I didn't really watch those as a kid.
They're really bad.
I don't have big attachments to them. I remember them being very weird.
They are. But, you know, we know they're getting back in the game of spin-offs finally. There's going to be that Mario Illumination movie at some point. There's probably going to be more beyond that. So I think there is a legitimate possibility we could see another DK cartoon. And I just want to ask, if they ever did one, what is something, like, what's, like, anything you'd want? What would you, like, if you got handed the reins, what would your goal, what kind of show you'd want to be? What would that be?
For Donkey Kong Country?
Or Donkey Kong in general, but yeah.
I mean, ideally, it would be like a fun, like, kind of like more epic quest show where it's like where there is like one large mission where, like, you know, I think it's, you know,
travel
it's
the land
okay
like a game.
Say, like, to say, like, I want it to be a little bit more like the game. Like, I would love to, you know, start a thing where, like, you know, Cranky is kidnapped for some reason, and like they all have to like go out across the land to, like, you know, fight this thing. And like maybe
because, by the way, 0 animal buddies in the cartoon. That pissed me off as a kid.
Well, they would have had to design an animal, and nobody was going to put in that effort.
We can't mocap a rhino. Are you crazy?
But I think in my mind, I kind of want, like, you know, I think a Donkey Kong series, like TV series, is still better than a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
As an idea. I think a Mario movie would be a lot easier to make. But I think as for me, it's, you know, it doesn't need to be that hard.
No, it shouldn't be.
The characters set up by the game have strong enough personalities in and of themselves. You've got a lot of the groundwork already. Yeah, like the games where they barely talked. I'm just talking about, like, man, Dixie just got treated so badly in the show because, one, she barely showed up, and, you know, I talked about the reason I loved her in the games was because she was kind of a go-getter. She was adventurous. She played guitar and stuff like that. And she's this wimpy little girl who, oh no, my pet lobster ran away, and just. She has a really, really cringy solo song when, like, Clump of Bandits are like, why'd you have to leave me, Clump? Her and Diddy in that show are both relegated to dumb children. And they didn't even get kids to voice them. Yeah, but it's, like, disappointing because not only is it stupid and boring to watch, but it's also like, no, guys, they were, like, the heroes of our games. Yeah, they are absurdly competent. We do have to move on, but it's two things. One, I do want to give credit to, I do love, as an adult now, I do enjoy some of the stuff with K. Rool and the Kremlings.
as a kid, I was definitely like, why does he have this foppish, overly theatrical voice? That's not cool, but it's kind of funny. And the guy is giving it his all, so it's like, oh, no, no, no. And then he'll go another episode, why not? And I kind of love that.
Donkey Kong! Diddy, it was a good match. You won, I lost. Good sportsmanship and all that. I'm just an underprivileged reptile.
And
yeah, in my mind, I almost want, like, you know, a new K rule, like a new K-Rule, whatever, a new K rule, like every season, kind of like the games where it's like, I would love it if he came in as a pirate next time, and it's the same voice actor, but just like has gone totally pirate on the voice.
Or he's a mad scientist and then acting over the top in that way. That's true. And one other thing, I will say, you know, I'm going to bring this up, so I'm just going to pull this other video up now. I know who I would cast as the voice of DK, because we were talking about how much the voices don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever watched Gravity Falls?
I actually haven't, but it's on my list.
It's really good. It's on Disney Plus. There's a voice actor I really like, and if Felipe listens to this episode, he's going to be like, yes, thank you, John, because I'm convinced he has like a man crush on this guy. But he is very talented. Kevin Michael Richardson is a voice actor.
I know Kevin Michael Richardson.
Yeah, okay. So you get what I'm saying? Like, because he has this deep voice, he often gets typecast in a lot of more intimidating or villainous roles. Like he's got to in Lilo and Stitch, the big shark alien villain. But he has done a lot of goofy stuff, too. He's Cleveland Jr. in the new Family Guy Cleveland stuff, the principal in American Dad.
He was also really good in as the Joker in like the Batman
not the
series.
movie, but the country. Yeah, I didn't like that show much, but he did a really good take on the Joker.
No, I didn't love it. I didn't love the show much either, but I thought he was very, very capable.
Okay, so I went through clips of like what are some of his more recent comedy roles where he's not just doing the stoic one. He plays the sheriff in Gravity Falls, and I think we're gonna have a lot of viewers who hear things and go, "Oh, that guy, that's his name."
Investigating to the grown-ups, okay?
Attention all you.
Not the skinny hillbilly, you know.
It's a 2316.
Let's move.
I'm gonna get to use my
There's a part coming up that I think really sums it up.
Ready, little fella? Another hydrant destroyed.
This one.
It's a gosh dang mystery.
Want to take off our uniforms and run around in circles?
Quit reading my mind.
Gravity Falls is good. I can get why it has such a following. But yeah, he's got this deep voice. He could sound, because I think the thing about DK in my mind is he's tough, he's good-hearted, but he's an idiot. And I think this guy could sum up all three. He's very talented. I
think, and I could be wrong, I also think a place where I remember him from that I really loved him in was he was a bunch of voices in Samurai Jack, but he was one in particular that I can't remember off the top of my head, but he did a bunch of great voices.
Yeah, no, he was.
Jack that I loved.
The one I loved was when he was that guardian of the portal, kind of dressed like Morpheus, and who won't let Jack pass. Oh, you're trying to go old school on me, huh? Yeah, he's in a ton of Samurai Jack. Very talented guy, and yeah, this is just my geeky dream casting. That would be a great DK. Yep. Let's get back to the world of video games, and this is still going to be a little weirder than the rest of the other stuff, so I'm going to load up, say about 10 minutes for this. Rare didn't do a Country 4, not any straightforward thing, and they didn't do 3 games in the series for N64 either. They did 2, and one was a spin-off and kind of came out of nowhere from what I remember, but it became a childhood favorite.
Spoiler alert, it kicks ass.
It still kicks ass, I am happy to say. Diddy Kong Racing. Did you replay it?
I just kind of went back and looked at some stuff, but I played that game so many times that I remembered every single second of it.
Yeah.
And I just love it. It's so good. It is so fun. It is so replayable.
It's so ambitious, too, when you look at the time it came out in.
Yeah.
We had Mario Kart the same year, and it's like, oh, just karts. Cute. How about also planes? How about also hovercrafts? How about adventure mode with the hub world? How about collectibles that are the equivalent of like a Jiggy or a Sharp? We managed to fit it into a racing game.
Yes, and also just like a really great, build on the difficulty of the game, too. Like, it really becomes like a challenging and, at times frustrating, but like kind of in the way that like any good game can be like frustrating and like so rewarding when you make it through.
It's the Sekiro of its time. Diddy Kong Racing, the original Dark Souls.
Yeah, when you unlock TikTok, God, you feel like a champion in that game.
Oh, TT. Hi there.
TT,
I'm
thank
TT.
you.
Okay. Funny fact, all of Rare's voices back in the day were just done by their employees.
Oh yeah, I think you told me that.
Yet, still a better Diddy.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm Diddy. That's all you need.
That they really didn't know Conker before they did that game.
Oh my God. No, they did, but he had a real shift. So let's just talk about that real quick. They decided to use it to kind of cross promote and, ahead of time, like we're working on 2 other platformers besides Donkey Kong. Here's Banjo. It's funny to think that's the only time he says a full sentence. You ever realize that? He always grunts otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, this cute little squirrel, Conker, who was going to be in this game called Conker's Quest. And then they were like, this is too much like Banjo and DK. We're going to make it called 12 Tails, so it'll have different modes. This is too much. Let's make it M-rated and have him piss on people and like get drunk and swear, and it'll be M-rated. And it'll be pretty awesome, actually. And it did, but that is so bizarre in hindsight. Like, that was a very bold move to take, considering he was already in an E-rated game.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like, the thing is, it's just, I think even when I was told that, like, what Conker was going to become, you kind of told me, like, what it was, I didn't really understand. That game was like, was like
foreign.
Was like my introduction to a lot of stuff.
We'll come back to it kind of
in the same way that I think GTA is for a lot of other people.
Yeah. Same year as GTA 3, actually.
Yeah, so there you go. So I got introduced to quite a bit there.
Yeah, we'll get back to Conker when we talk platformers. But now you were talking about the difficulty. When I first started replaying this game, I was worried at first because I was like, oh my God, this is so easy. This is so easy. I'm almost slapping everybody. No, this can't be the whole game. This can't be oh, wait. Oh, this boss is tough. Oh, no, wait. Bumper's kicking my ass. Oh, wait. This is awesome.
Oh, yeah, Bumper.
Oh. So I think a lot of the original characters they make up are pretty generic. Like, Tip-Top.
Yeah, just like this animal.
It's an animal.
This animal.
Timber, he's a tiger. What, anything else? He's got a hat.
I still feel a little bit betrayed that we never got a Diddy Kong Racing 2.
Oh my God. Well, we'll get to that, but we almost did. Do you remember Donkey Kong Racing?
No.
Am I unlocking something? Oh, I'll tell you in a second. We need to get to the post-DK64 era, but yeah, Diddy Kong Racing is a really great game. It's a shame that it never really...
my God, Donkey Kong Racing, they were going to be on the animals. I do remember.
Oh, and now I'm making you sad, I bet.
Oh, what happened?
Why
didn't that happen?
Because Rare got bought.
That sucks.
They canceled like 4 games because of that.
Didn't they show like a big presentation?
They showed a teaser for it at E3. Yeah, it was. They tried to rework it with original characters for the Xbox, but it got canceled.
That is super disappointing.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to real quick
to remember that.
Real quick. So here's a thing that you have to use as a segue. Before we move on to DK64, is there anything else you want to say about Diddy Kong Racing? Other than it's really good still.
It's just really good. I think it's super, super fun. It, for some reason, just like doesn't really feel like any other racing game I've ever played.
Which makes the lack of a sequel all tragic.
Yeah, and I love the little world that it's in. I love the way you discover new spaces. I don't know. I just think it's a super great.
I think I will say, and this ties into what I'm going to say about the next game, it doesn't feel like the DKC. It feels like a big cartoon. It feels more kid-friendly in general.
The main character is a pig wizard from space.
The main villain.
And Whiz-Pig.
Yeah, and you have a Indian genie elephant, and which is cute. Maybe stereotypical. I doubt they got natural Indian for do the hello there, but... Apu's canceled, so I guess cancel Dodge now. I don't know. Actually, I don't think we have to worry about that because nobody cares about this game but us.
Sure.
But I will say, so segue, it did get a DS port, and I remember telling you about that and you getting excited back in the day. It's not worth your time because, one, they forced in touch controls for like acceleration and stuff in a game that wasn't really built around it.
Yeah.
Also, D-pad, not great for 3D games. I felt the same way about Mario Kart. So it's kind of a compromised version of the game, even though it technically has some extra material. So here's the thing. Because Banjo and Conker were property of Microsoft by then, they replaced them with 2 characters. Existing characters that made it feel a little more Donkey Kong-y, because you had, other than Diddy and Crunch the Kremling, it was OCs. So, and you had Dixie and Tiny, who... Now, we're going to get to Tiny's original game. I'm going to send you a picture of her for a refresher, because you remember she was Dixie's little sister... little pigtail overall. She actually looks a lot like Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls now that I look at her with the colors in the hair. Did you hear about...
and why did we get her?
I don't know, but did you hear about the Powerpuff Girls news the other day?
No.
The CW is going to reboot Powerpuff Girls as a live-action drama action series where they're disillusioned 20-somethings living in the city. That sounds like a pitch for an SNL skit, not a show.
Right. So
Tiny Kong.
I guess, like, are we just? I guess we're just out of ideas, right?
They are, at
like
least.
as the human race, like we're like done with like this is it.
Man, but they did a cartoon reboot, Powerpuff Girls. They couldn't even get that right. So second time's the charm, except not really.
God,
Normally
why
I'm
does
not
this
as
make me so sad.
Normally I'm not that judgmental, but this sounds doomed from the start. It is like Geico Caveman all over again.
Here's
But-
what I will say.
Yeah,
That is just another sad fact of the world that we're in.
yeah.
Is that I'm definitely going to watch at least 2 episodes of it,
Out of morbid curiosity.
just because I need to know.
Yeah, like how are they going to screw this up? No, here's the other thing. I sent you a picture of Tiny for a reason, not just to refresh you what she looked like in 64. In Diddy Kong Racing DS...
Because you're reminding me that she has a crossbow, which I do not remember at all.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't think you
Okay.
knew about this. And there's never been an in-game explanation for this. The official reason was Rare developed the ports. They were still allowed to develop GBA and DS games because Microsoft didn't have a console, a portable console to compete with. And Nintendo just said, hey, do this to Tiny. This is what Tiny looks like now. Your face right now. She's taller. She's like the size of Candy. She's like a teen. She's got like a midriff.
Yeah, it looks
disturbing.
like... I mean, they don't look like the same character at all.
But they are.
I mean, I guess they both have beanies on.
And pigtails.
Wait, what was this designed for?
Diddy Kong Racing DS and any spin-off since.
Oh, God.
She magically grew a decade, but her sister stayed the same.
Yeah, she looks really bad.
Yeah, she looks too human, too.
Yeah, yes, that is exactly right. And she also kind of looks a little bit, I don't really know what is doing it, but she looks a lot like a duck person now.
That was a problem that I remember, I think I mentioned in the past, DK Vine, a DK fan community was a big part of for a while. Fell out of love with them for a while in the aughts, but I've gotten back to it recently because a lot of the members who were causing problems aren't there anymore. They said if you look at the Kongs in the show from the side, their snouts are so stretched out they look like duckbills.
Yeah, they really do. It looks very bizarre.
This is like the mouth in particular, but I'm also just looking at this like, Rare, are you trying to make furries? Because you're doing all these, like, you did that, you did Candy, you did Barry and Conquer, you did Crystal and Star Fox. Like, everything okay at home, Rare designers?
I think they just like what they like, and you know what?
Yeah,
We're not
you know
here. We here at Sketch Watch Play are not here to kink shame.
We're not anti-furries. It is something that has me a little like, it's like bronies. I'm like, okay. That's all I can say. Look at it.
You know what?
Okay.
Whatever. Hey, dudes, and ladies, I'm just going to get on the mic here and say real quick, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you're not hurting anybody, I think it's very cool.
Like what you like little girl monkeys who magically grew a decade.
Okay, well, I wish you hadn't said
next
that.
Next game, DK64. This was not the same as Diddy Kong Racing. This was a nostalgia buzzkill. This game was, I remember, teased in Nintendo Power. That's how I found out about it. They did a single screenshot a whole year before it came out with a single picture of the minecart level. And oh my god, that was one of my geeky experiences to like run up to you and they're like, oh, they're making Don't Come C4 finally, and oh my god, ah! And it had a big marketing campaign. We got like a promotional VHS for it. Remember all those cheesy VHSs they did, like that in the Star Fox one?
Yeah.
The Star Fox one is infamous for good reason. And then Christmas morning, I remember to mess with us, because I'm sure they knew how much of a fanatic I was. They put Santa, I'm doing quitty fingers, put the game box in a long, like, cylindrical box to make me think I wasn't getting it. Just to mess with them.
And luckily, it is just such a great game that totally holds up. That is absolutely perfect and doesn't play like a really bad pared down version of Banjo-Kazooie with like crappy accessories.
With crappy accessories, a billion items. I really liked 100% this game back in the day as a kid, but I was a dumb kid. This simply does not hold up or even represent the series like play-wise or stylistically anymore. This is rough.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This is another one that I think goes under I loved the property so much that I desperately wanted to love the game. But even like while playing through it, I was like, there's a lot of annoying aspects of this game. I don't really care for the new characters.
No.
I don't know why they bailed. I also had I have that thing where I have like a personal allegiance to characters that I've like already grown to love, and it's like
Dixie and Kitty for like palette swaps of them that are their siblings.
Yeah,
and
it's
who were never
like those people. Why do you hate them?
And Chucky was literally never used again, much like his brother.
Yeah,
I do kind of like Lanky. I think because there isn't really anybody else like him. And I like
Lanky just because he didn't feel like a replacement of somebody that I already knew and liked.
It should have been Donkey, Diddy, Dixie, Kitty, and Lanky would be the new
Lanky
Kong.
could be the new one, yeah.
And he stands out. He's got those arms, and I love his jump sound. I've had "obla" in my head for that's a thing that could have more valuable information. Instead, it has "obla."
I think it's good though.
It is. There are good things, but it's like this is barely a platformer, and what platformer there is bad. The camera isn't good enough. The controls aren't good enough. The level layouts are so haphazard and easy to fall off and just do everything over again. It really is. At
the time, it was new. We were like new to more 3D games, 3D platforming games.
Everybody was new to it.
I do remember that this game was the first game I ever played where I was like, "Oh, the cameras in this suck." Like I'm struggling with the cameras for this game, and of course that happened more, with lots of other games. But
that was very common at that time. But some worse than others.
Yeah, it was my first experience where I was just like, why can't I just look in the direction I want to look and do the thing I want to do?
Press up C to stand still and get a first-person look, and then press Z and left C to pull out your banana gun and shoot the balloon, and then press Z and left C again to unequip it, and then press down C to get out of the camera, and then...
Well, that was another thing, too. It's like there was so much good source material to make this game fun. Like, it's the same way where I'm just like, you take what was good about the stuff. When you start like a new 3D game for the first time, when you're platforming for the first time, take the stuff that made that original one good and just try and replicate it as best you can, as opposed to like, what are these stupid guns? What are these like
instruments that all you use them really for is just it's the equivalent of another Switch? Why can't I just headbutt the Switch instead of playing an instrument?
Why can't I just do a Switch? Even if the Switch needs to be like for my character, like okay, and if you want to give us these frickin' instruments, like I'm fine with that. Like whatever, it doesn't
make them
kill
useful.
me, but it's like, but make them actually useful and like different. Like, would it be much more interesting if it was like this instrument like really does this cool thing? Yeah, but instead it's like, no, move this thing. Only he can move this thing. Play this character here.
I love Rare to pieces. We praise so much their work, but looking at this middle N64 era, I think they got misguided. They looked at Banjo and were like, oh, people love the satisfaction of collecting all this stuff. Let's make that the entire impetus. Because Banjo, I'll say it right now, I think Banjo-Tooie fell victim to this too. There's a reason you don't hear about people talk about that one as much as Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie has a great balance of platforming and exploration and rewarding you with these things and using your moves in the right places. This and Tooie, they feel like errands. Switch this character, pull this switch, go back and get this character and get this thing and bring it to this guy and now walk across this thing and warp over here. And
I will say though, with this game, it's even worse than with Tooie. Tooie at least had like built up like a significant amount of goodwill with the first game, and also still had all the charm of the first game.
Tooie has more genuine platforming. It has more bloat.
I think Donkey Kong 64 is pretty charmless too. Like it's just like it's not very fun or interesting.
And the soundtrack isn't memorable. The graphics are very impressive for N64, but it's like we talked about the immersion of the country games, the environment design, that incredible soundtrack, that sense of adventure and mystique and peril. All gone. This is that same generic cartoon Diddy Kong Racing thing that I was talking about, but applied directly to the main DK series, which makes it feel more off-putting, and there isn't a good game to back it up.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing, like something that I'll always remember is if you look at the like box for DK64, that I think had them like all 5 of the new characters,
on
like
all
5 of the characters in like a minecart with like K. Rool behind them, like shaking his fist. And it looks that like box looks more like a Donkey Kong game that I like loved than anything that you see in the game itself.
Even the minecart levels aren't fun. They're just too many hazards. The controls aren't good enough. They borked this.
They did what?
They borked it.
Say that word one more time for me.
Bork, B-O-R-K. It's another thing for like broken game. It's all borked.
Got it. Okay, great. I learned a new word today.
I mean, I could just say it's fucked.
Well, no. We're going to say
I said it. No takebacks.
No, this show's for children. It's exclusively for children.
This show is for good boys and girls.
9.
That's why you're not getting My Shiranui in it. Patrick won't get that reference, but others will.
No, I don't.
Don't worry about it. But yeah, closing things you want to say about DK64?
Just that I think it was a pretty big swing and a miss. I think the best thing that came out of this whole game was us getting Diddy a jetpack in Super Smash Bros.
I was about to say you can't fault that. It's in the new games too. That's his ability in the country games.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I'll be honest. Like,
NK Rool's Final Smash, the island destroying laser.
Yes, I like that too. But I think it's, it's
Pretty weak
still,
last boss too. He just comes out still with the crown, but in a boxing suit.
Yeah, I think I found that very easy and a little uninventive.
Yeah, I know we've talked a lot of other than Diddy Kong Racing. This is pretty dour, but I feel like we haven't hit our most dour thing yet because we got to talk about the GameCube era started. They revealed Donkey Kong Racing. They revealed like a puzzle game that they were going to do called Coconut Crackers. Like they teased at the end of 64. I don't know if you remember, but the reward for getting everything, which I did because I loved it at the time, was an audition cutscene where Cranky was auditioning characters, and it just showed next to him a sign with a dolphin saying auditions because that was the code name.
When Dolphin was the code name.
Yeah, so this was their way of announcing, oh yeah, we're making a Donkey Kong Dolphin game, and maybe it would have been 64's better graphics. We're never going to know. They might have not even got far enough, but anyway, in 2000, I believe it was 2002, right before the launch of Star Fox Adventures, which also disappointed me, out of the fucking blue, Microsoft bought Rare, and I was a devastated little nerd. It was like the foundation of my fandom. It's just not really going to be there anymore.
I remember that time. I thought it was I remember as a kid being a little bit less thrown by that because in my mind, when you originally told me, I was like, oh, okay. Well, we still have Donkey Kong, right?
Well,
and you were like,
yes,
yeah,
but no.
Yeah, we do, but not by the people that we like.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we still got Donkey Kong, though. And then
they announced the first post-Rare game, Donkey Konga.
Okay, and so I have some things to say about this.
Sam.
So Donkey Konga, for any of those of you who don't remember, is a game that is played entirely by having two barrel-shaped little like drum pads that would come with the game, little bongos that would come with the game, and it was a music game, rhythm game, essentially.
I love rhythm games.
And I'm going to call you out and say that this is a clear example of John trying so hard to love a game.
Yeah.
You really wanted the world to think you liked this. You bought it.
I was like, I like Parappa, I like DDR, I like this. It's so boring. It's so basic.
So boring. It is so annoying. Your hands hurt after like 10 minutes of playing.
The track list is bad. It's like Happy Birthday to You or covers of songs.
And even the things that are like meant to be like interesting like are like totally ruined by the actual mechanics of the game. Like the idea of playing bongos is like originally interesting, but then you find that if you're like actually hitting it, your timing is usually a little off. So we stop even hitting the bongos. We just put our hands on the top of them and press down whenever it's that bongo.
click, click.
Yes, and so it was like basically just like using the bongo as a 2-buttoned controller,
which sucks.
It just sucked, and like the music was awful.
It looked bad too. It was just these choppy, limited frame animations. It looked like a bootleg game.
Yes, it did. It looked like terrible animation, and it also cost a bunch more because it came with these stupid bongos that you couldn't use for anything else.
Hunk of plastic controller. Which, hang on a second, you're gonna hate me for this.
Do you still have them? Oh my god. All right, for everybody watching at home, he just took off his headphones and walked away from the table. I can kind of hear rummaging in the background. Nothing too exciting. Oh my god. Why did you keep those? There's no reason to still own them.
There is. It's another game we're going to talk about after this. If it was for Konga, if it was just Konga, I wouldn't have kept them. I sold Konga real quick. I know there were 2 sequels, but by then it was like, screw this. I threw away my money once. I'm not doing it.
Those can be used for another game.
Yeah, a game that I'll give you a hint. So this whole GameCube era was weird because DK was anchored to the bongos when he got his own games. Because we did get another platformer, but it was a weird one, and partly because it threw away all the characters except DK, which is why I was pissed about it initially, and also you don't play with a controller; you play it with the bongos. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
This game sucked too.
No, dude,
that's not true.
Jungle Beat is great. I've been
everybody who's listening at home. This game was very annoying to play.
Dude.
It was very it was not intuitive. It was not like fun to play.
Dude, it's satisfying the way you like beat up the enemies and stuff like that, and the combo meters, and there isn't really anything else like it. And I do think it should.
there's a reason there's nothing else like it, and it's because it sucks.
I do think it shouldn't have been a Donkey Kong game. Like, we on DK Vine were so mad when we were seeing this, like, and apparently Miyamoto even quoted as saying, like, yeah, we're going back to basics. We think it should be nothing but Donkey Kong and the banana. There's no story to it either. You just have to make up, like, oh, there are these evil Kongs that he's got to go beat up, and yeah.
You see, even you describing it right now,
no, I'm
describing game.
I'm describing its identity. It's a poor man's DK style, but as a game, it's really fun. It's just because they had this like this combo meter, the way they invented the clap is used for like attacking and to rack up bananas and points, and you unlock medals with the points, which get more levels. I know I sound like a crazy person, but it's a crazy game and a good one.
Here's what I'll say. You plug in this game.
Yeah.
You plug in your bongos.
Yeah.
You play.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're going to be like, wow, you know what? This game is actually really fun and kind of inventive, and I've never played anything like it. And then 10 minutes are going to go by, and you're going to go, oh my God, I am so tired of clapping. My mom is mad at me because I'm clapping in the middle of our living room, and my hands hurt. Every part of my hand hurts. I hate this game. I hate this game.
Okay, I'll make it a little more palatable for you. Hang on a second. I'm gonna get something. I wonder if you know what it is.
Are you gonna go get another thing? Okay, so he's getting up from the computer again. I'm not hearing a rustling this time, but behind him, I'm noticing there's a wooden statue that I think is of two dolphins that I've never seen before.
I actually can't find the case for it, but there is a Wii port, and I bought that recently for a discount. And you do not have to play it with the bongos. You can run around with the nunchuck and buttons and just do a little shaking to simulate the clapping every now and then.
Well, why would I even want to do? Just give me. No, that's.
We'll get to that. But this is a cool game. We're gonna have to agree risky on this. Bad Donkey Kong game, great game. Do you want me to make it a little? Well, maybe this will make it worse in your eyes. So this was the first.
Okay, so just real quick, I'm sorry. I need you to shut up, John.
Sure.
So the moment this episode is over, make a note to yourself. I want you to go on Twitter. And I want you to do the simplest Twitter poll you've ever done. And it is just...
I'll do it now.
Is DK Jungle Beat a good game? ? 2 answers, yes or no. That is all you get to write down. And I cannot wait to see 0% for yes.
Okay. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Good or bad? How's that sound?
That's fine. And then just 2 options, good and bad.
I'll leave it for like 2 days.
Great.
Cool. All right. I would bet money on it, but I'm flat broke in between jobs. So,
perfect.
But yeah, Jungle Beat is maybe your opinion will differ. Here's the thing that I think maybe it'll make you angrier, but maybe it'll make you happy. This was the first game from a new team that went on to make Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 and Odyssey.
I did know that, and I find it shocking because I haven't played a lot of Galaxy 2, but Galaxy 1 is a very good game. And Super Mario Odyssey is one of my favorite games ever. I think it's fabulous. Yeah. They made a bad game first, though, and it is this game. It is Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. It's a bad game.
Well, they got all the kinks out then, and you just make sure it was... Oh, maybe they didn't work on Odyssey. They did work on 3D World, though, but you didn't play that. Or 3D Land.
I don't think I played that one.
Okay, well, those are all good. Galaxy 2 is great. A lot of people like that more than the first. Let me see. Did they get... merged into... Oh, maybe they did. I'm sorry, I'm just... Oh yeah, they did make it. They did. They got restructured, but yes, they did go on to make Odyssey. Yes. And stuff like WarioWare Gold too. So the GameCube era wasn't a fun time for us as Donkey Kong fans. We kind of had to fall back on Super NES for a while or other games. And it kind of reached a point though. It says a lot that the highlights of DK at the time were like cameos, like oh, he's in Mario Kart, and I remember it was a big deal when the Double Dash came out and they added Diddy, and then Double Dash was our least favorite Mario Kart, so there you go. But
pause, bathroom, be right back.
Pausing, not really. We'll edit it out.
Please stand by.
Yeah, other than Diddy Kong Racing, this episode has not been high on the unanimous we recommend / like this. We were some turbulent times for the Kongs, and it was cool to see them see stuff like the Mario Kart, and it was a big deal when Diddy appeared in Brawl.
Yeah,
because we've been hoping.
Yeah, I remember being extremely excited about that.
Yeah, and he's pretty fun to play, and I'll say right now, let's save cable for the end. We're still going chronologically. I remember I don't know if you remember this, but we were both living at our parents' house at the time. I think it was either E3 2009 or 2010. And we were watching Nintendo's streams in each of our rooms, or the E3 streams. And there was this... Actually, let me see if I can add it. Actually, no, we don't need to. But you remember Reggie, former head of Nintendo? He was talking... There's been a rumor. So there's a studio called Retro Studios, which is kind of a newer first-party American studio who had previously done the whole Metroid Prime trilogy, which is... I don't like 2, but 1 and 3 are great games. We're not diehard Metroid fans, but we do like the series. There was this rumor going on a couple days before, like some, media insiders were saying, hey, we think Retro is making a new Donkey Kong game you're going to see at E3. And I was like, I didn't want to get my hopes up because it was it was twofold. It was, one, that this thing was even real, and 2, that wouldn't be another disappointment and not what I wanted. And granted, back then, I thought I wanted to see them try a 3D game again, which I guess I still kind of do, just not like 64. And yeah, we got this presentation where Reggie came out and said... Retro has made some great games. We want them to take one of the most iconic games ever. And it's like he even knew. He said,
we asked them to take one of the most treasured franchises in video game history and to make it magic again. If you listen, you can hear it coming.
Make it magical again. Like he was almost admitting. Maybe I'm reading, but... I don't think you are. I think they knew that they needed some course correction.
That there wasn't... I mean... Even for people who liked some of the stuff they did along the way, like, they hadn't nailed it since
they hadn't had a smash like they did back in the day. So, and then boom, side-scrolling. Then it's like, here's classic jungle environments. Here are these new enemies, but they still look like they fit the series better. Oh, bam, Diddy's back. It's not just a solo thing anymore. And then, bam, here's the name, Donkey Kong Country Returns, putting its mission statement there on the screen. Guys, we know what you've been wanting. Here it is. And I remember I rushed into your room, like, did you see that? Yes, I just saw that. Oh my God, it's back.
And I will say, so that announcement came out and I got so excited. I was so pumped. Mm-hmm. But then, 10 years of bad games, weighed on me and weighed on me and weighed on me until it came out to the point where, when it was coming out, I was like, I'm going to be honest, I think this game is going to suck.
I don't want to get tricked again. I don't want them to bring me this nostalgia. It's the Star Fox conundrum or the Sonic conundrum.
Yes, it is. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Star Fox, I gave Star Fox all the chances I could.
Yeah. Star Fox is one of the only times where I've ever said, after so long, and then they did 0, and I played that, I was finally I was finally, and I usually don't do this, I was like, I'm done. No, don't make another. Leave it alone. You can't do it again. Stop. You're never going to beat 64. It shouldn't be that hard, but you can't do it. Anyway,
it's not a complicated thing. But back to Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
I was so pessimistic about
I wasn't
DK games at that point that I didn't have a lot of faith. I know you were very excited about it.
I had been pessimistic up until I saw what the game was. And then I was like, this looks like what I want. And then I played it, and hot damn, this was great.
Oh, it slaps. I love this game. It's very good.
Yeah, I feel like you took a little while to play it, and I eventually gave you my copy after you moved out and I gave you the Wii.
I was in college at the time, and a guy in my hall had the game. I did take a little while to play it because I just didn't believe. I didn't believe, and then you told me that I just had to, and so I did play it at my friend's place down the hall, and it's awesome. It's so good.
I'm just imagining Peter Pan yelling, "Clap, clap if you believe in Donkey Kong! Everybody clap! Bring Donkey Kong back to life!" And they did.
I think it's absolutely awesome. I can't tell all the time if it's just nostalgia or if it really isn't quite as good as the original 3 country games.
There are elements that I think aren't as good. The big one in both this and Tropical Freeze is really scaling back on the animal buddies, because we talked about how much variety those could provide. In both of these, it's basically just occasional Rambi, a very OP Rambi. He can't get hurt as well, and he can run over spikes and through crates and stuff without charging. And Squawks is just an item that pops up in the corner and yells when you get close to items. He's not even, an assistant, really. But
speaking of which, through this entire thing, have we brought up that you named your parakeet after the character in these games?
I was going to save it for the end, but let's get to it now. If you go back to your first appearance, I think, the Pokemon episode, yes, I got a pet parrot who's now with our parents, because I'll get to that, but and you even told, I remember you said you told your girlfriend, he's going to name it some sort of cartoon or video game character, and I briefly toyed with Kazooie, because his voice sounds more like Kazooie than other birds, that kind of...
Sure.
But one, his colors were a match outside of like the red, highlights, and he squawks, he screeches, he yells. He's a loud,
he really does.
He's a loud little mofo, and that's the reason I gave him to my parents, because he was waking me up at 8 a.m. every morning. And
yeah, as someone who loves animals, I would love to say that I love this bird of yours.
I thought you did grow to like him.
I have grown to tolerate him quite a bit. I don't think I like him.
He didn't like you for a while.
No, he attacked me a number of times.
Yeah, he can be a mean little guy. But
yep.
He's so cute.
Okay.
I've called him cute so many times that he'll like nibble on my whiskers, going cute, 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 cute. I love him.
What a creep. All right, back to Returns in Tropical Freeze.
We'll get to Tropical Freeze, but yeah, no, Returns. Also, it was still a little limited in terms of returning characters. There were no Kremlings. Apparently, that was a mission statement by Retro. I don't know why, but on the inverse, the baddies felt more in tune with the country settings than like the Jungle Beat guys had. The Jungle Beat felt like Mario enemies.
Yes,
it was very off-putting. And
I agree.
Nothing against Mario. It's just we talked about this series forming its own identity, and then this felt like betrayal, and then this felt like they got it right. Maybe it has something to do with having Western developers, and I don't know if that sounds xenophobic or not, but it might just be like those sort of mannerisms. I don't know. There were no Kremlings, and they were very limited returning characters. It was you could play as DK and Diddy, but Diddy. That's the big thing is they change how the second Kongs are in these games, because if you play one player, they're basically power-ups.
Right.
You get 2 extra hearts instead of 1 per Kong. You can't switch to them solo, but if you have Diddy, his barrel jetpack is now a fixture, like we talked about in Smash Brothers and some of the spin-off games, and now it'll let you hover a little bit. So Diddy is both he's like a boost, a buff. You get more health and you get a little more air time, and which is good because these games get very, very tricky, like even harder than the original at some points. But there were very few Kongs, or like I said, just Rambi and Squawks and Cranky running an item shop and no other Kongs. So it was still a little bit like, I could use a little more after so long, a little more representation. But the level design was on point. New mechanics, like how you could actually hold on and like climb path through walls and stuff. The vine swings were so wide and dynamic and like exciting. Because it was fully 3D rather than pre-rendered 3D, you could like go into the background plane. Remember stuff like that? Like, interact like that. Like, we're not going to do a full 3D movement, but we'll do it with like how the camera works and such. It was just fun. It was just so satisfying. And there was that sense, and it didn't use new music, but they did remixes of the original Country 1 soundtrack, which is still good. And that sense of adventure was back. Like, the environments, I'd say, are still more stylized and cartoony and bright, but it still feels like the series had its own identity again. It felt like
and I can't remember if it's this or Tropical Freeze where like they add in some like new mechanics that really, really work. Like I love like those like grass areas that you climb on.
Yeah.
I think there are these
blowing and pulling for extra, and how the ground pound can get extra goodies. Like they really amped up the goodies. Like the world feels more alive and more interactable, if that's even a word.
And that part of it, I think is super effective. And that's the kind of thing when I'm talking about like building upon the games, like, you know, add what you want, but keep what's good.
Yeah, they added a lot. Like they did change a lot, like I'm talking about, in terms of even like the momentum and stuff. Like it felt, but it felt good. In a good way. Like that's one of the things when you get new games on newer hardware than their originals. If they do it right, then where there's more technology, you can do more fluid and detailed animation physics, and it feels like a natural evolution. And this felt like, maybe back in the day, if I had imagined Donkey Kong Country 4, it would be just like the SNES ones, but they're like, no, we'll keep stuff you love, but we'll add our own touch to this and update it in the right way, and tweak there thing. And then a couple years later, Tropical Freeze happened, and that is only my favorite game on the Wii U, which I know is a short list. That's one of my favorite games of all time. I'm saying that if I can't say the soundtrack goes off. 2 means so much to me, and I think it also has a better soundtrack and atmosphere still. But Tropical Freeze is a masterpiece of platforming,
and something that it does, which I really appreciate, is it adds more playable characters without like giving us like a bunch of like
filler
crap we don't need. No filler. They give us 2 characters we already like. We go back to Dixie, which is like, great, where has she been? I haven't seen her since
playable
Donkey
Cranky.
Konga 2.
Playable Cranky for the first time in a
playable
platformer.
Cranky, which is such a fun idea.
And we didn't even talk about Cranky. He's the one with the most dialogue. He's freaking hilarious because he is a living fourth wall break.
he was, I think, like indicative of like Rare's sense of humor early on.
You read those manuals and go to his cabin, and he's just complaining about how overly fancy everything is. Like, you only need like 2 buttons and no scrolling screens and no bonus levels.
Frankie
Kong.
Cranky kind of like was my first experience in like retro nostalgia stuff, where it's like he just kind of like talking about all the stuff that was better in his day. And I don't know if there's a way, I'm sure there's a place online where people can check these out. If you can find the old manuals for the Donkey Kong Country
if you Google
games,
them, you'll find PDFs.
They are so great.
Yes.
And most of it's because of Cranky dialogue.
Yeah, he's always interrupting, like MST3K style. Like, this story's even worse than the first game. They're really scraping the bottom of the barrel this side. It's just, he hates all of it. And it's so funny.
It's so fun. It's so great. I will never get over the fact that his wife dies between the second and third game and comes back as a ghost.
That was a great thing in DC4. Wrinkly,
as a kid, I found so dark.
I love that. And then they did it in Tui where they kill bottles at the beginning.
I think it was funny. I still think it's funny. It was very dark, and I found it even darker in Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, because that was a plot point. At least he gets better. Wrinkly, she shows up in I played King of Swing. She shows up in that. She's still a ghost. She's just they haven't retconned that. They'll change Tiny into like into a teenager or whatever, but Wrinkly, she dead.
She's dead. Yeah, that's the end of her.
But Tropical Freeze, it not just that you had more of the representation in that you had Cranky and Dixie playable and Funky back to run the item shop, because now the game auto-saves and you don't need to do the flights to get to each world, so it made him and Candy and Wrinkly kind of irrelevant, but they're like, we still have items, let's still have them around. But I thought the enemies had more personality too. You remember like the Snowmads, and they had like these squat little penguins, these great boss enemies.
I actually
Viking
think that they did a good job of the enemy design, and I think maybe perhaps why I don't mind it not being, the
Kremlings.
Reminiscent of people we know is because, like, K. Rool isn't our, big bad this time around. And so it's like, if you're going to be reinventing stuff that way, I'm fine with new baddies and all that stuff. Yeah. It's mostly when I'm facing like a similar main boss, and like the baddies don't feel reminiscent of like the fun thing that I already liked. I'm kind of like, well, what are these? This isn't it. This isn't right.
Yeah, no. They got back to having these jungle little wild animals that felt in tune, and they even took advantage of the fact that the Vikings, the Snowmads, were from a colder climate, so you were fighting like a polar bear with a big mallet, and the main guy was a huge walrus. Though I will admit, his build, he was basically K. Rool and a walrus super proportion wise. I think they could have tried a little harder to mix him up. I believe his name was Lord Frederick, but it was still a fun boss fight, and I love the fact that you actually get in these games, you get opening cutscenes that are like these beautiful FMVs. There's no dialogue or anything; it's still simple, but it's like, man, it looks like Donkey Kong. It's charming and stuff like that. And I will say, because we've been talking voices, one thing I think 64 has above the others is that it is my favorite DK voice. Because you remember how he sounds? Mm-hmm. Okay, me, cool. I'm not doing it justice, but it actually was a good mix of that, cool and dopey sounding, especially when he's flying through the barrels and screaming. Oh!
Okay, hey, blah.
And that's kind of what his current voice sounds like all the time, which I'm not. I think they play up the dopey a little too hard. Apparently, it's the same guy who voices Ganondorf, so make of that what you will.
So, Retro Studios.
Yeah.
What else have they done?
Just those. Here's the crazy thing. This game came out in 2014, and since then they have been silent. And apparently they worked on something for a couple of years that got canceled, and it was never formally announced. Rumors were, and I don't know what to make of this, it was a Star Fox racing game. But maybe the Star Fox curse was reared its head again, and they were like, this isn't working. Okay, we got to wrap this up. But I will say right now they're working on Metroid Prime 4, because that was originally going to be
I knew that.
That was originally going to be done by Namco, and it wasn't coming together well. And so Nintendo made the decision to scrap it, get Retro back, let them do it. And their game was canceled anyway. So they've been kind of tied up for a while, but we're hopefully going to see in the next year or two what they do. And real quick, because I wanted to bring up
timelines on Prime 4.
What?
Do we have any timelines on like Prime 4?
And I think COVID has hit the gaming industry too, so it could still be a long time.
Yeah.
That and Bayonetta 3, which we don't care about, but a lot of people do. That's one's taking forever too. Real quick, one of the great things we didn't mention about Tropical Freeze and pull up the Watch Together window, they got back David Wise. And you could tell.
Oh.
This soundtrack, I'm still not going to say it equals 2 overall because it did go for a little bit jauntier overall, but his flair was there, and there were a lot of great tracks for the immersion and like the atmosphere. Like this is the first level you play, because you remember what the plot is, right? The Kongs get forced off their island, it gets turned into tropical. This is the first level that plays when you get back. DK Island is the last world. This is the first level.
It does just have that same like kind of
adventurous but ominous, like grand.
Yeah, and like that weight that the original ones have that I think is very wonderful. With a little bit of like Pirates of the Caribbean Hans Zimmer thrown in.
Yes. And I saw people on DK point out like it fits thematically. Like this is like you fought this whole way back, because Country 2 you talked about as a kid having the stakes of they took Donkey Kong. Imagine a kid playing this, they took my home, and now you're like, oh, you're back here, time to bring the fight to them and get it back, and it's all without normal storytelling. Like David Wise did so much of the world building on his own, and it's such a treat. And I'll add to the final episode, but I think you remember I got to meet him at a MagFest Q&A like two or so years ago. It was his first time doing an American convention, so it was a big deal for me and a lot of others. And the question I asked him was about, after so long away from this series because of all the Rare stuff, now he's gone freelance. Because the Rare we have today is not, a lot of the key players left. So that's why we got stuff like Ukulele. And like, by the way, Ukulele good. Go back to our episode. Ukulele Impossible Air, great. I know you said that you tried it and it wasn't your thing, but it draws heavily from the Tropical Freeze model of gameplay. So if you like that, that's the next best thing.
I thought it was fine. It didn't grab me.
That's fine. But he did music for those as well, and there are some really good tracks. But his the point I brought up, don't worry, we'll wrap it up. I can tell you're checking your watch. The point I was bringing up was, after so long away from this series, and especially, you're not limited by technology anymore. You can record real instruments or use whatever software you want. How did that change things? And he said the funny thing was, like, because he got to know the ins and outs of the Nintendo sound processor. He said the funny thing is, you have all the instruments in the world. It's the hardest thing in the world to make Donkey Kong Country music that sounds as good as the Super Nintendo one.
Nintendo and Retro brought you back for Tropical Freeze's soundtrack. What was the process of that like, both coming back to a series you'd been away from for a while and having a lot more freedom with technology of what kind of music you wanted to make, and both build, retain what people liked about the old music and also build on it? Because I remember you could hear a lot more instruments that weren't prevalent in the original trilogy.
Okay, yeah. So coming back to the series was obviously, it was a great honor. I was really pleased to be working on it again. The first thing I had to do was learn how to play the game again, because it had been so long. So I spent a few days doing that. Now, when you're doing a game for Nintendo, they're really big on keeping the feel of the original series, and that was a consideration I'd not really given much thought to, but obviously had to at that point. So there was quite considerable consideration given to retaining the nostalgia of the Donkey Kong Country series, and there were some decisions made of which tunes that we were going to keep, which ones we were going to adapt. But they came later on. First of all, the first tunes I was writing were completely fresh, with none of the nostalgia. Going to the technical side of it, when we did the SNES stuff, there were 8 single channels, and it stood up quite well. And what I found was, when you can write anything, when you've got all the instruments and all the sound libraries that you could possibly use, it's amazing how much tech you have to throw at a sound to make it sound as good as the SNES did back then by today's standards, because we look at things through rose-tinted spectacles. So if you were to write a piece and make it sound in the same vein as the Super NES, I was ending up using lots and lots of huge sample libraries and lots of processing just to create the sound that we had on the SNES way back, and I wasn't expecting that at all. So it was a good challenge. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I think he based that style off of all those limits and such. And there's also the nostalgia factor he talked about. But goddamn, he still knocked it out of the park with this. And
I think it's still, it's hard to look through anything without with removing like the nostalgia lens.
That's what I'm saying. Tropical Freeze, I think, is objectively the best one. If I was some critic who played all 5 of those country games the first time, I'd be like, this rules. But Country 2 had such a meaning to me as a gamer, as a creator, as a fan, that you can never replicate that.
I still think 2 is probably the best one. I think even nostalgia aside, I think it's the best one. And then, then maybe Tropical Freeze, but if I throw nostalgia in there, then it'll be 1.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So I think by the time we wrap things up, and
First off, I want to thank you for this has been such fun, even though we talked so much shit about stuff this episode. I enjoy when we talk shit.
We also talk about a lot of stuff that we love. I think it's fair.
Honestly, I don't like talking shit about stuff in real life, but when we do it on this podcast, we're just talking about dumb cartoons or games. I find it kind of hilarious. Like hearing you rant, like your section when we talked about Next Mutation is one of my favorite sections on the show ever. Same with when
it makes me very angry.
Same with me when Chris and Tyrone talked about that Transformers anime, like stuff like that. It's just like it's just entertaining, and it's the same reason I love bad movies and even sometimes bad games is because there's that ironic enjoyment to be found. So I want to thank you again for taking time out of your busy work schedule to join in for all this talk about cartoon monkeys running around.
Yeah, anytime. And I think this is probably a good time for us to say we're not saying anything definite yet.
Some plans.
But in the next few weeks, John and I will probably start announcing some plans for a podcasting project that we're going to be working on together, that either some preview episodes or maybe the whole thing will show up on the Sketchwatch
I'm
Play
thinking
feed.
possibly the whole thing under a different name, but we're planning to be back with a vengeance, guys. Like the two of us are planning a separate show from the regular Sketchwatch Play, and I'm planning something entirely new that can also fall in the umbrella. And I'm excited to tell you more about it, but we got to nail down the details. And I will also say, again, Patrick, I know you're not really on social media much, but what about Wit? How would you like to? You talked about that last time.
Yeah, I'm going to plug the same thing I plugged last time, which is Washington Improv Theater, witdc.org, to donate. They've been hit hard because of COVID. A lot of arts, especially live arts companies have. If you've got anything you can donate, I'd say go for it. If you've ever been interested in taking an improv class, hop online and take one of their Zoom classes during quarantine. It's a super cool thing, and people are loving it.
Yes.
And they're also, go to their Facebook, like their Facebook page, and check out all the great Zoom shows they're doing during this time. It's amazing how much good comedy they're still making during this time.
I just got an email from them. They're going to be doing a live series of improv shows during the election week and having people, like, public participation, stuff like that. Sounds really...
Yeah, I'll be participating in that, so I'll send along information when I know more.
Also, so I have two little things I want to say real quick. Next, this is going to be breaking news to you too, because I want to keep it a surprise for you. Next episode, guest and topic are already set in stone, so you can look forward to it for a month after this. We will be having our good friend Tyler Moliterno coming back, finally, to talk something not Marvel based, and he's having me revisit something I'm actually really excited to because it's been a long time. We are going to talk the Back to the Future trilogy.
Oh, hell yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm very
time.
excited to hear this. I need you to ask him something for me on the podcast episode.
Okay, what is that?
It is just what he believes is the reason that this kind of cool teenager is just hanging out with a super old man all the time.
All right.
It is never, as far as I remember, even slightly explained.
I don't remember.
So I'd love to get his thoughts on that.
All right. We'll make a mental note and a physical note to bring that to Tyler. And Patrick, I have one more 30-second video to close things with. There wasn't really anything to put this in place with this thing because we already talked about the country games, but pull up Watch Together. It's only 30 seconds.
Okay.
This was, remember when they ported the games to GBA?
Yeah.
So this was a Japanese commercial for the first country port. I have nothing other to say other than I think it's one of the funniest ads I've ever seen. Ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
I've seen this before. I think this ad is unbelievable. For people at home, it is.
Describe
John
what we're
will
seeing.
Obviously post a link for this.
But describe what we're seeing.
It is a guy in a Donkey Kong costume, or maybe just a stuffed Donkey Kong costume.
No, it's a guy.
Riding an ostrich, a real ostrich. And a guy in a Diddy costume is just running behind him. And it is unbelievable.
And he's falling off again and again
all it
and
is.
again. And they dub in the Japanese voice. And
I will
Diddy
tell
just
you,
ineffectively run like, oh shit.
It kicks ass. I would go so far as to say that it is banana-slamma.
That doesn't even rhyme. Also,
No, it doesn't.
there's an
It just
episode
sucks.
of the cartoon where K. Rool says, "What does that mean?" And Funky goes, "I don't know, but it's pretty catchy."
And you know what? I don't agree. I don't
Sorry,
think it's very
Funky.
catchy.
Funky's usually high. You gotta take everything. There's an episode
That's
where he
fair.
sings about interplanetary visitor dudes, and somebody made a compilation of every time it's said. I'll end the episode with that. It's just 2 minutes of interplanetary visitor dudes, interplanetary visitor dudes.
I hate it.
This is Sketch Watch Play, and
yeah, banana-slamma. Good night, everybody.
Ugh.
Interplanetary visitor dudes. 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 Interplanetary mind vibes.